Hey guys, this is Mike, and you're listening to Feeling Twisty. I'm really glad you're here. So earlier today, I was finishing up the plumbing issue I mentioned yesterday. The solution came about just wonderfully and easily. I'm glad I didn't rip into the ceiling and start cutting pipes out. I was patient, knowing that I would know exactly what to do. And when the solution popped in my head, it was like, oh, yes, that's it. And it was solved within a matter of minutes. So anyway, while I was working on that, I was thinking about a couple of verses in the Bible. And I know some of you aren't familiar with the Bible at all, or maybe a little bit. It doesn't matter. The Bible isn't the only text that gives us clues to who we really are. It is just one way, a way that we left ourselves a message to discover this, to remember who we really are. A lot of beautiful texts and scriptures and writings over the eons that point the same direction. And wonderful teachers now, and books, current books, all sorts of ways that we've left ourselves messages to remember who we are. But anyway, after having said all that, I grew up with the Bible, so this is what I turn to look up some things and remind myself of who I really am. So you may have, even if you haven't been familiar with the Bible, you may have heard these verses. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through the Word, and without the Word, nothing came into being. Now, I used to think of that as, when I was younger, well, most of my life, that was just whoever wrote the book of John, just kind of recapping creation, the creation of the universe. There's God and Jesus together, mapping out everything, shaping the world and stars and planets and all the things. But now I see it as it's not something that happened a long time ago. It's telling us that there's this creation or this thing going on inside of us that's happening all the time. In the beginning, that phrase means first or first fruit, origin. I see it as I am, like it's referred to in the Old Testament. The name of God is the self-existent one, the I am, the awareness within all of us, that is all of us, that is everything. And like in Genesis, it says the world, everything was without form and void, until the Word expressed itself, communicated itself. And the Word is, I looked up a number of definitions. According to the concordance, it's, word, communication, a thought, expression, divine reason, creative order. I like to look at it as consciousness. So there's this awareness that is all of us, but it's without form until we are conscious of something, conscious of being whatever. Maybe you want to look at it, maybe it's a wave field of possibilities, infinite possibilities. But everything is just possibility until consciousness is applied. And then it collapses to a point. And it's expressed in the physical world. I am conscious of being me, Mike. Nice to meet you. And you're conscious of being you. And we continue to be conscious of ourselves. I am still conscious of being me. When I stop being conscious of being me, I will no longer be me. But it doesn't mean I will no longer exist. And the same for you. And the same for your lives and my life. Whatever I want to experience in this life, I first become conscious of being that. and it will express itself in the physical world. Until I am conscious of being anything, it is just one of the infinite possibilities. It's without form. And we form that within ourselves, in imagination, by assuming we are who we want to be. And we start seeing the world, seeing ourselves and the world from that new state of being, that new perspective. The Bible talks about, the Bible calls the Word, the Word is another name for Christ. And throughout the New Testament, it talks about how Jesus Christ, is within each one of us. Don't you realize that Jesus Christ is within you? Test yourselves and see. Jesus Christ, and this is just me, my opinion, my take on it, that Jesus, it means Jehovah saves. So I am salvation. And Christ is the Word, is the consciousness. And I think Neville calls the awareness of being divine imagination. And through imagination, we become who we want to be and express that in the physical world. I quote Neville a lot, but I'm not a Neville expert. There are plenty of Neville experts out there. I could usually tell you about certain lectures and books that I know a good bit, but I'm certainly no expert. I can tell you I am a certified, degreed expert in Mike, in me. So everything I talk about is strictly from my own experience and the way I see things. You may see things completely differently, and you probably will see things differently in some ways. What's the fun if we all see everything exactly the same? We weren't here just to be carbon copies of each other and just vomit what somebody else fed us. I don't know if I used that example right. To just spit out, just repeat something that somebody's told us. I think we're all here for a reason, to experience this human experience this life, beginning with forgetfulness, and then we start to awaken, however seemingly long it takes. This awakening, everybody's doing it. Everybody is on this path of awakening. If you're listening to this, then you certainly are, because you wouldn't have brought this podcast into your life had you not been looking for it. There are things now that I have experienced and things that I understand that they would have scared me, a couple of decades ago. I rebuke you, devil. So anyway, the power, the Christ the Bible talks about, is the power and wisdom. And it's already within you. You cannot separate yourself from it. It is the I am, and it is the Word. And I think once you get this, you really get this, you'll see the connection or the oneness between your beingness, what and who you're conscious of being, and the outward expression of that. Because nothing you experience in the outside, the seeming outside world, the seeming separate world, nothing you experience is coming from anything other than your own consciousness. And you get to this point where there's a shift. It's subtle, but then you notice it because you're becoming more aware of everything. You're aware of your thoughts and you're aware of your feelings. And you notice the shift. There's a reversal. Instead of reacting to circumstances, you start acting within yourself, in your consciousness, in your imagination, and seeing your world react to who and what you are conscious of being. Who are you conscious of being right now? What are you thinking and feeling right now about yourself? Feeling like you don't know enough? That you're not educated? Are you feeling that you live in the wrong country? That your government is oppressing you? Or that crime is rampant? Or you can never get a leg up? Do you feel like you're not worthy of being loved? Or worthy of forgiveness? You are. Of course you are. You're worthy of everything. You are. What you're experiencing in consciousness, in imagination, is the reality. If you choose to be aware and start to really notice, you will see the connection, this oneness between your I amness, who you are conscious of being, and what the outside world is showing you. What are you habitually thinking and feeling about life? If you're in the United States, do you have to turn on the news and see the latest on the impeachment process? Does that fire you up one way or the other? Why? Do you wake up in the morning and feel like the whole world's going to hell? What are you allowing to control you? If you change the concept of self, change what you are thinking and feeling habitually all day long, move into a new state of being, the world around you changes. I used to be a reporter. I thrived on that. I thrived on the bad news. I thrived on that, stirring people up. So if you like to get fired up about the news, you are my kind of person. I would deliver the worst, craziest news, to scare people and make people sad and outraged at the top of every hour. And now I don't even look at the news. I don't avoid it. I'm not actively trying to ignore the news. I'm just seeing the world from a different state of consciousness, a different state of mind, that I don't even really think about it. And when I do see a news story, sometimes it makes me laugh at just how some of the crazy stories I see. So what are you conscious of being? What matters to you in your life? What matters? What is out there that bugs you or makes you happy? What thrills you? If somebody does something that makes you happy or makes you sad? Because there's nobody out there that can make you happy. There's nobody out there that can make you sad. There's nobody that has any power over you. Absolutely not. I know it may seem like there are outside forces working against you. Stop imagining that there's outside forces out to get you. I used to be all about that. Everybody's watching me. Oh, everybody's out to get me. The debt collectors, you name it. In-laws and outlaws. They're all, oh, I know they're talking about me. What are they whispering? Why are they looking at me and laughing? I was all in my head, just all this junk going on, because I thought everybody out there was separate. But I just kept experiencing everything I assumed to be true. Everything starts and exists within you. It's the last Bible verse I'm going to quote, and it's kind of a paraphrase of James chapter 4. You go to war against your passions and your world, frustrated that you can't be or get what you want. But you will continue to be frustrated if you're looking outwardly. You don't have your desires because you're not asking, or you're asking wrongly. There is no outside, separate God to pray to. And I think that verse is talking about, you're frustrated, you want all these things, you have all these desires, but you're going to war against outside things that seem separate to you, trying to manipulate and force things to happen according to what your five senses tell you. And that's what I think it's talking about there. What you're not asking, and you're not even asking correctly. You're not going to the one true source, the one cause, the I am within you, the I am that is you. And you have the power and the wisdom, which is Christ, which is the Word. You have an infinite possibilities in the awareness that you are. You get to choose what you want to be conscious of being. That's so cool. Nobody can tell you no. Nobody can tell you you're not good enough. Nobody can tell you your accent turns people off. I had to work when I knew, I started in high school for some reason trying to get rid of my Southern accent. I don't know if I still have any. I think I have some, but I don't think it's as strong as it used to be. But back then, I wanted to get rid of it because I was embarrassed. I didn't like traveling and having people say, "Whoa, you talk funny." And then when I started as a reporter, I worked at it even more. You want to get rid of you want to be the generic American accent and not have one that's clearly, a thick Boston accent or a Southern accent. You want to be uniform, so more pleasing to the ear. But I was trying to do all that to please outside, things that seemed outside of me. Where was I going with that? You are good enough. What was that? There was a sketch on Saturday Night Live. I can't remember his first name. Something Smalley. And he would look at the mirror and do affirmations. You're good enough, smart enough, and doggone it, people like you. Oh, he was doing mirror work. You are good enough because you are God. You only exist because you are conscious of existing as you. So why not exist as something wonderful? All right, guys, I love you. This is Feeling Twisty.